One of my patients had prostate cancer. Today he's alive, active, and healthy, but back then he ignored a few critical signs that should never be ignored. In this video, I want to share his case with you, the 7 early symptoms he missed, and how that one mistake nearly cost him everything. Maybe you felt it too, that pressure down low, a weaker stream, or waking up once, then twice, then 3 times a night just to pee. It doesn't show up loud, it sneaks in quietly, and it's easy to dismiss with thoughts like, it's just age, probably nothing. But there's often a quiet voice underneath. What if something's wrong? Still, you don't bring it up, not to your partner, not even to your doctor, because once you say it out loud, it becomes real. You're not the only one who feels that way. But here's the thing, when you know the early signs, you can stay ahead and in control. Let's talk about them, one by one. Let's be honest, every man over 50 has had the thought, even if it was just for a moment. Could this be prostate cancer? You feel something shift, a change in your stream, more trips to the bathroom, maybe things in the bedroom don't work like they used to. It doesn't scream emergency, it just nags at you. And yet most of us don't say a word, we shrug it off, we tell ourselves it's just aging, we wait, hope it goes away and keep moving forward. But deep down there's a quiet worry, not just about cancer, but about losing control, losing strength, losing intimacy, and the scariest part, not knowing if it's something or nothing. If that's you, you're not weak, you're not overthinking it. You're a man who cares about his health, his life, and the people who depend on him. That's why this video matters, because prostate cancer often doesn't show up with big, obvious signs. It starts with small things, easy to ignore, easy to miss. Knowing what to look for isn't about panic. It's about staying ahead and protecting the life you've worked so hard to build. Let's keep going. Let's slow this down for a moment, because you deserve to know what's actually happening inside your body, without the medical jargon, without the fear, and without anyone talking down to you. The prostate is a small gland, about the size of a walnut, but don't let size fool you. It plays a big role in how your body functions, especially when it comes to your sex life, your bathroom habits, and your overall sense of ease and control. It sits just below the bladder, wrapped around the urethra, the tube that carries urine out of your body. And that's why, when something goes wrong, it usually shows up in small, frustrating ways first. Slower flow, trouble starting or stopping, that feeling like you didn't empty all the way, waking up more at night. None of it feels dramatic, but it's your body whispering, pay attention. Now, when prostate cells start to grow abnormally, that's when we start talking about cancer risk. These cells can begin to press on the urethra or nearby nerves and tissues. And when that happens, the changes in how you pee or even how you perform in bed aren't just random, they're signals. But here's the hard part. For most men, it doesn't feel serious at first. It feels like aging, like stress. So we brush it off until it gets worse. You don't have to live in fear. You just need to understand the signs and what they're trying to tell you. Because when you understand what's really going on, you stop guessing. You stop wasting energy wondering if you're overreacting, and you start making decisions from a place of strength. This isn't about overthinking every little symptom, it's about knowing your body and respecting it enough to listen when something feels off. That's not a weakness, that's wisdom. You start to feel like your body isn't listening to you anymore. You need to pee, but can't go, or you don't need to pee, and suddenly you're rushing to the bathroom anyway. It's frustrating, embarrassing, and over time, exhausting. You stop sleeping through the night. Your energy drops during the day. And that quiet confidence, the one you used to carry without even thinking about it, starts to fade. And here's the thing, you don't always notice it happening. It's not like a switch flips. It's more like slow erosion, a gradual loss of comfort, ease, and peace of mind. Maybe you're more irritable with the people around you. Maybe you've pulled back a little in your relationship. Maybe you're just tired. not just physically, but emotionally. And yet, you don't talk about it because men don't usually sit around discussing their prostates. It feels too private, too vulnerable. So, you carry it quietly. You pretend it's no big deal. Meanwhile, the worry builds. You lie in bed at night, not just thinking about your next bathroom trip, but wondering, what if something's really wrong? And that's where it gets heavy, not because of a diagnosis, but because of uncertainty. Not knowing steals your control. It puts you in limbo. You're stuck between it's probably nothing and what if it's serious? That's why this matters. Because this isn't just about checking for cancer. It's about reclaiming something deeper, your stability, your self-trust, your power. When you name the signs, when you pay attention, even just to rule things out, you take some of that control back. You stop living in fear. You stop guessing. And you start leading your life with clarity, not worry. Let's keep going. You deserve to know the full picture. Let's be honest. Most of us men, we don't like going to the doctor. We'd rather tough it out, push through it, tell ourselves it's no big deal. You notice things shifting. Maybe it's harder to start the flow when you pee, or you're waking up more often at night. But it's not painful, so you wait. You tell yourself it's just part of getting older. Maybe it'll fix itself. And in that quiet space between noticing and acting, time passes. Here's what most men don't realize. Prostate cancer rarely makes a dramatic entrance. It doesn't always come with sharp pain or bold warning signs. Often, it grows slowly, quietly, while we're busy ignoring it. And the more time it's left unchecked, the fewer options you have. But I get it. Sometimes it's not just about the symptom, it's about the fear behind it. You've been strong your whole life. You've handled things without complaint. So the idea of getting tested, of hearing something you don't want to hear, feels like giving up control. But here's the truth. Avoiding it doesn't protect your pride. It just puts your power on pause. Other men fall into a different trap. They search online for answers, bounce from forum to forum, looking for someone to say, "You're fine, don't worry." But the internet isn't your doctor. It doesn't know your body, your history, or your risks. Then there's the past. Maybe you had a bad experience with a doctor before. Maybe you felt dismissed or rushed. I've heard that a lot, and it's real. But letting one bad moment define your future health? That's not fair to you. So if you're noticing changes, even small ones, don't ignore them. Don't wait until they feel serious. Early attention isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. It means you care about your life, your family, your future, and you're willing to act, not out of fear, but out of strength. That's what real men do, not the loud ones, not the tough-talking ones, the quiet ones who pay attention and take responsibility before it's too late. Let's take a deep breath together. This isn't about panic. This isn't about overreacting. It's about paying attention. Because your body doesn't shout at first. It whispers, quietly, repeatedly. And if you've lived long enough, you know those whispers usually mean something. So here's what I want you to watch for. No drama, just truth. 1. Frequent nighttime urination. If you're getting up 2, 3, even 4 times a night to pee, that's not just age. That's your prostate saying, hey, something's off. Then there's the past. Maybe you had a bad experience with a doctor before. Maybe you felt dismissed or rushed. I've heard that a lot, and it's real. But letting one bad moment define your future health? That's not fair to you. So if you're noticing changes, even small ones, don't ignore them. Don't wait until they feel serious. Early attention isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. It means you care about your life, your family, your future, and you're willing to act, not out of fear, but out of strength. That's what real men do. Not the loud ones, not the tough-talking ones, the quiet ones who pay attention and take responsibility before it's too late. Let's take a deep breath together. This isn't about panic. This isn't about overreacting. It's about paying attention, because your body doesn't shout at first. It whispers quietly, repeatedly. And if you've lived long enough, you know those whispers usually mean something. So here's what I want you to watch for. No drama, just truth. 2. A weak or interrupted stream. You start, then stop, then start again, or it feels like you're forcing it. That's not nothing. 3. Difficulty starting or stopping urination. You stand there waiting, longer than you used to, or it doesn't feel like it fully empties. You might write it off. Don't. 4. Burning or pain while urinating. That sting you ignore because it only lasts a few seconds? It matters. Pain is your body's red flag. 5. Blood in your urine or semen. This one's tough. Most men hope it's a fluke and look the other way. But blood, even a tiny amount, is your signal to act. 6. Erectile dysfunction. Not just the occasional issue, but consistent trouble. This doesn't always point to cancer, but it can be one of the signs. And it definitely points to something your body needs help with. 7. Pain in the lower back, hips, or thighs. A dull ache, a pressure. Maybe you've chalked it up to age or an old injury. But the prostate sits low, and when it's under stress, that discomfort can radiate outward. Now here's the thing. Any one of these can have other causes. But when 2 or 3 show up together, especially if they stick around, it's time to check in with your doctor. Not because you're weak, not because something's definitely wrong, but because you're smart. You've lived long enough to know that waiting rarely helps. Listening to your body and acting early gives you options. It gives you control. And in the long run, it gives you peace of mind. You deserve that. Let's step back for a moment. You've made it through a lot in life. You've worked hard, handled pressure, provided for others, and through all of it, you've learned to keep going, even when something didn't feel quite right. But there comes a point where pushing things aside isn't strength anymore. It's a risk, because you know your body better than anyone. You can feel when something's off, even if it's subtle. A change in the way you pee, a shift in your energy, a quiet voice inside saying, "This isn't how I used to feel." And here's the truth. Listening to that voice doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. When you stop ignoring the signs and start acting on them, something changes. You begin to feel like you've got your hands back on the wheel, not drifting, not waiting, not wondering, but driving. That's the real win here. Not just avoiding a worst-case scenario, though that matters. It's about what you gain back when you're proactive. Your confidence. And it's the men who listen to those whispers early, who pay attention even when it's uncomfortable. Those are the men who stay ahead. You don't need to have all the answers right now. You don't need to panic or rush. You only need to care enough to check, to notice the small changes, to ask the questions you've been avoiding, to act on what your gut has been telling you. That choice, simple as it seems, it might just save your life. Not because you're scared, but because you respect yourself enough to take that step. That's real strength. And it's never too late to start listening. Your calm, your sense that you're still in charge of your own life. A man who knows his body and respects it doesn't wait for someone to tell him what to do. He checks, he asks questions, he gets answers, not because he's scared, but because he values what he's built, his health, his relationships, his time, and that kind of clarity, that changes everything. Because now you're not moving through life with quiet anxiety in the background. You're not secretly wondering what might be happening inside. You know. And once you know, you can handle whatever comes next. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to figure it all out today. You just need to be the kind of man who pays attention and takes the next right step. That's not a weakness. That's power. And it starts the moment you decide to act. Most problems don't come crashing in like a storm. They whisper, softly, quietly, like a subtle shift you might almost miss.